the community supervision changes proposed by DOC. I think I'm in the brief time that I have here that I'm going to highlight really 4 aspects that I think are commendable, and also some things that we need to watch as a group going forward. So the first thing is really a compliment to the Department of Corrections. And formerly I was actually in the Department of Corrections, so I know that they are very transparent on these changes and made sure that people knew what they were planning on doing. And you know, for things like the changes of the rules supervision, they were going to have to propose administrative rule changes for that, so that would have been public. But a lot of the other changes, you know, on supervision and how they were going to do revocations and holds, those are policy changes they could have made without really making that public. So I think that we should all recognize that they're really being open on this process, and it's something that I know that as a researcher I like that, and I know that it's a good thing for the community here to know what the agents are going to be doing and how the department expects to change policy. So the next thing that I was really going to mention is the rules of supervision. And I think that there are 2 sides to this. Is one, the rules do need to be cut down, and I think the department's looking to cut those in half right now. And I actually proposed, you know, my proposals were in the article. But I think that kind of the basic idea that I think is the standard rule should really be the bare minimum that an offender needs to meet. And then each agent should work with their offenders to determine rules that are really necessary to help them succeed, and kind of get rid of the rules that are unnecessary, that create more bureaucracy for the agents to follow and more hoops to jump through that an offender may not need. So I would encourage the department to really look at that. But I think also a caution for all of us here is, you know, the legislature gets a say in these rules when they go before the Joint Committee on Rules and Regulation. And I know that cannot always be a rule that group can always be difficult to kind of get on board with changes. So I think that's something as a group we need to watch and work on. So, you know, I'm hopeful that we can see some progress here, but also I think that's the one change that the legislature kind of gets a say in, and I think that's probably the most likely to see a holdup going forward. So it's something we all need to watch. The other issue, the next issue that I think was interesting was the changes on revocations, holds, and sanctions related to alcohol and drug use. And I think those are changes that are good and need to come. But I think from our research, it needs to be tied to more access to treatment options, both for prior to release from prison, but also afterwards, and follow up both department resources and community resources, because we've done some research on revocations and holds and sanctions and drug and alcohol use. Even if it isn't the actual cause of the revocation, is often feeds into the other criminal behavior that occurs. And I think that I know the Department of Corrections has had a hard time recruiting staff and finding providers. And I know that the funding is not adequate. So we have wait lists inside the institutions, and we have offenders out in the community who need more assistance. So I think that's something we all need to work on and talk to our elected officials. And how we do that, I don't have a good answer. You know, it's a difficult problem that I think is faced in every state right now, in every community. Drugs and alcohol are always going to be a problem. Then the third issue that I think the Department of Corrections did not address in these changes was sentencing recommendations following a revocation. And one of the big issues is, under the state law, you can be out on supervision for 3 years and make a mistake and get revoked, and then serve this entire prison term for those 3 years of your sentence that you were fine out in the community for. And I know in the budget, they recently added a section to it. I think they call it compliance credit. And that's something that could be done on the sentencing recommendations on the part of the Department of Corrections. So it's something to look at. You know, administrative law judges can make whatever determination they see fit, but the recommendations do have a lot of weight. So I think it's something the department should look at. And then I also, you know, I'm open to any questions. I would defer, of course, to the Department of Corrections on any of the particulars. But if there's any questions on kind of analysis that I provided, I'd welcome any questions.
So as a suggestion, Patrick, I think we sent out your report, but is it possible to upload it into the chat also? Then people could have access to it?
Let me see if I can bring it up. Maybe I can share my screen.
Good. Good. Then, you know, you're talking about change. We are blessed to live in a democracy. A lot of people around the world don't live in a democracy. And I think one of the things that draws us all to this table is that we care for those who are incarcerated and have come home from incarceration. And we have the ability within our private lives to raise our voice for those people by connecting with by calling up or emailing our elected officials up in Madison. And not everybody votes, and of that, not everybody ever contacts their elected officials, and of that, not many people contact their elected officials many times. You have a lot of power. We have a lot of power in our hands. And I'd encourage you to raise your voice to support the greater degree of fairness that comes from these rules of supervision, and for you to contact your state assembly person and your state senator to tell them that you support that. I'd appreciate that. Any questions for Patrick around Badger Institute's analysis of the new proposed rules of supervision?
Can I pipe in a
Sure.
moment?
Sure.
And this might be part of Mr. Thorsten's area. We're getting a new set of rules, but we need to make sure that those enforcing the rules and adding the rules, in other words, the probation agents, are doing so in a fair way. Some of them in the past have been a little more aggressive in adding rules or applying rules. So if we get a good change in what you're suggesting, then we also need a little help in the supervision side to change an attitude. And that's even just changing things like stopping calling them offenders, as we were saying in the chat. Trying to make them succeed instead of seeing how many we can revoke. And that I hadn't seen addressed so far in what I've seen.
So one of the things I like to add also is that I think when you look at revocations, which is one of the leading pathways back to being incarcerated, is that I think this is Orlando Owens, when you collect all the data, you also see patterns of, let's say in your case, sir, Rob, that you may have some agents who may be a little bit overly aggressive in sanctions and in holds. You can see this. Supervisor can see patterns that some probation officers may be more lenient, some may be more aggressive. In the end, there are some warning signs that you can see that's happening to the end user of their services, that be it drug intervention, be it maybe community service, be it intervention, whatever the case may be, there are clear warning signs that we can use for evidence-based treatment or just action to have an intervention. So I would just say, leave that to the body, that there are signs that we can, help people before they get to the point of, reoffending or being sanctioned, and we can have a slew of alternatives to how we try to better help them go down a better path than the path, unfortunately, they may choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Orlando. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Sylvester Jackson. Two things. First, to Patrick, on the rule that you're speaking on, would those rules be across the board? For example, one of the things I have noticed as a person that directly impacted by supervision is that parole agents typically create their own rule as they go in a lot of instances. You know, you very seldom have a policy that they can refer to in writing and give to you in a lot of instances where you're being threatened to be revocated if you don't follow procedure, but you never given that particular procedure in writing. And that's one of the main things I think have to be done is when DOC have these policy changes, then every agent should be held accountable for following the DOC procedures and not deviating into their own personal idea on what it should be. Another thing dealing with the registry is not registering, but with the supervision part is the length of time that this state gives people for supervision. You know, when research shows in most cities that been done research on that the average person within 3 years is going to reoffend, they're going to reoffend. But there is no logic to giving people 10 and 15, 20 years community supervision other than making sure that they fail, you know, and then to give a person some time out here where if I spend 9 years on the 10 years given and I mess up within 11 months of getting off, then that whole 10 year can be reapplied.
Yeah,
those are some of the things that I'm hopeful that, you know, DOC and the legislature start taking a look at in the state.
Yeah, and that's fundamentally unfair. And that's something we as a community we should work together to change. It's fundamentally unfair. I'm conscious of the fact that we've got a lot on our agenda, and I'd like to move to the next item on the agenda and introduce Yemi de Jesus, who runs an employment and training and employment program, and one that's very helpful to people who are in reentry. So Yemi, if you could give us an overview of the good work you do, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you for that great introduction, Connor. Can I have a share screen? Is that possible?
Yes, Mandy, could you share the screen with Jamie?
I believe you should have access.
Right.
If you want to click down in the center where it says share screen, it should allow you to.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jamie de Jesus. I work with Innovative Educational Solutions Institute. I'm currently 15 days away from my max discharge date after being in the system since 1997, so I'm a little bit excited. Been home 4 years now, and longest I've been home, it's like I said, since 97. I'm familiar with a lot of people on the reentry committee right here. Like I said, I work for Innovative Educational Solutions Institute. We train in manufacturing. I'm a manufacturing skills standard certified production technician instructor. We give 4 credentials: safety, quality practices, production process, and maintenance awareness. Those 4 credentials lead to a 5th credential called certified production technician. These are 5 years credential, internationally accredited credentials. Our entry-level CNC is combined with the MSSC training to give a state-approved pre-apprenticeship course. I'm also in the works of right now creating an Industry 4.0 advanced manufacturing cell where we're having a robotic arm tend the CNC machine. We are on the state-approved vendor list, on the ETPL list. And I'm also involved with the Transitional Living Facility. We currently have Quality Hearts LLC and Healthy Rosie 2. We have a 3-bedroom duplex on the east side of town. It's on North Achilles. And we're having trouble filling these rooms. I know there's a big need for TLPs, but the issue is with the TLPs is that the DOC doesn't, I guess it's only for emergency situations. Well, if somebody's living in, just got out the joint or penitentiary and you're sleeping on the floor at your mom's house or you're in the basement at your cousin's house, I think that should really constitute as emergency housing, right? In my circumstance, after I came home from I did 2 prison bits, 4 years, and then I went back for 7. When I came back off the 4, my family member bought me 2 pair of Jordans, 2 outfits, and had a landscaping job for me. So I'm living back in my house with my other family members. 2 weeks after I was out, come into the room and throw me a sack. Come on, big boy, you got to carry your weight again. You know what time it is. So being around those same people, places, and things is what led me to make the decisions that what I was comfortable with at the time led me to go back for 7.5 more. I would like to help try to alleviate that by offering a safe place, building a reentry community with these six rooms that we got for starters. With the TLP, the criteria for going to the TLP is you have to be ready for change. You have to be ready to take some manufacturing training, either in the logistics or the manufacturing aspect of it. We also partner with Focus Families in the Welfare Standards building to provide AODA, domestic violence, anger management, thinking for a change, family reunification, any type of mental health programming that they might need when they come home from the DOC. Focus Families is willing to provide that. I'm a coalition member on Bank on Greater Milwaukee, and Constance Alberts, we're going to come in and do financial literacy. And if I can get some stipends, I'm trying to get some training money for my students. So if I can get stipends, not only will they have the TLP, but they'll also be coming to the training and receive stipends for the training. So that's really what I'm working on right now. And we can use all the help we can get. I got 2 students in my class right now and 6 empty beds.
So, Yemi, could you put your contact details in the chat? And if people know of folks who can benefit from the Transitional Living Program and also the education and training and employment that Yemi helps people with, please connect with him.
I'll put my email on here, and then what I'll do is I'll send a zip file with everything contained in it on a mass email, if everybody don't mind. So that way, at least everybody has an electronic file of it and just spread the word. And my goal is to build our own reentry community. I want to get a building where there's double zone. We have a whole training facility on the 1st floor and 2nd floor in residential. I got a buddy of mine that I was in the joint with, Rodney Parks. He's a masonry journeyman mason. We can have masonry programs in it. Ed Hennings, I want to bring him on. He's a barber. He has his own barbershop apprenticeship. And then there was one more. My buddy Ishmael from middle school is a journeyman welder. We can have all type of vocational trainings in one place, one-stop shop. We can do all the wraparound services there. And I got big dreams for this, man, so we can help these brothers and sisters come home and stay home. We don't need to be there no more.
Thank you, Jamie. And if you can do that, if you can put your contact details in the chat, people are already asking. Great, excellent. We appreciate the work that you do, and we look forward to some of the people around this table collaborating with you. Next up, we have Kimberly. I hope I haven't mispronounced your name, Kimberly, from Advocate Aurora, who wants to talk about reentry employment programs within Advocate Aurora.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Kim Kwetschke from Advocate Aurora, and in our breakout sessions, I had the opportunity to give the group a little sneak peek about what I was going to talk about. But yeah, I'm excited to be here today. It's the first chance I've had to meet with the group, and I can see it's a group that I think I could really learn a lot from. As I told the group in the breakout session, I've worked at Advocate Aurora for 20 years. I've always been within talent acquisition, but yeah, talent acquisition is an exciting place to work. And so my job's always been evolving over the last 20 years, and focusing on recruitment, sourcing, and hiring of returning citizens is new for me. And I told the group earlier that it's actually a new passion of mine. I'm really excited about doing it. So we do have what we call a returning citizens pilot program. And I'll explain a little bit about what that is. I guess I can go back a little bit and talk a little bit about Aurora. At Aurora, for those of you that might know a little bit about Aurora or have even visited our website, we talk a lot about helping people live well. And, you know, as you think about helping people live well, so to us, that means, you know, delivering great healthcare in the community, making it accessible, making it a good experience for people. And then also helping people live well. That means our employees, you know, giving them a path to advancement, a path to growing. You know, making it be a place where it's not just a job, but also, you know, a career for people. So, you know, we started to think more about, you know, what does living well mean? For us, it also means helping our community live well. So in thinking about that, you know, that ties into our mission of, you know, hiring diverse populations. You know, we feel that that's so important. It makes us stronger as an organization. It helps us be more creative and innovative. And it helps us serve the populations and the community better. So, you know, as we started to think more about diversity, we thought about, okay, so what are these other dimensions of diversity that we're maybe not reaching? And that's how we got to justice involved and returning citizens. You know, as we thought about it, we thought that healthcare might be a sector of employment that maybe some individuals might have even thought was off limits for returning citizens, you know, that maybe there was this reputation that working in healthcare might be difficult for returning citizens. So, you know, so we formed this group, our Returning Citizens Pilot Program, and there's about 8 to 10 of us that are leading this group. And, you know, what I can say is that hiring returning citizens and justice involved individuals is not new for Aurora. The one thing that's new for us is that we've worked to form strategic partnerships within the community so we can actually, you know, seek out returning citizens for employment. So then, you know, when we form these partnerships, we're actually able to get referrals for employment, individuals that are returning citizens or justice involved individuals, and, you know, help them through the interview in the employment process. And then once individuals are actually hired, we don't want it to stop there. We want to help them assimilate into the organization, you know, feel comfortable with our culture, be there as a resource, and then, you know, work to retain.
I'm in a Zoom meeting. Can I call you back in about 15 minutes? Okay.
That's Judge Garan. So Kimberly,
Yes.
I appreciate that overview very much, and particularly reentry agencies around this table, and also people in the criminal justice system, like Stefan and Ken. If we can create relationships between our different institutions with Advocate Aurora, we will create more successful bridges to employment for these individuals. So I put in the chat section the guts of the email that you sent me, Kim.
Great, thank you.
Shows the different opportunities, the links to the different opportunities, and also your contact details. So I'd encourage folks around this table to reach out to Kim so that we can develop these relationships that we know that are the key of making our community a better place in the future. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we appreciate having you around the table as we go forward too. The next item on the agenda is a brief update on the Way Out mobile support app and service provider dashboard from Ellie and Rivera and Ruben Ganoa from the Way Out.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share. I'm hoping this presentation is up here. So you may be familiar with the Way Out's anti-bias employment platform that we launched at the end of 2020 and have partnered up with Project Return, of which we have a service now coming near 24 people over the last few months, which is particularly helpful during COVID because all the onboarding was done online through the platform. But I'm here to speak to you all now about the Way Out's mobile app and dashboard, My Way Out, which is it's the Way Out's mobile reentry support app and dashboard that establishes real-time communication between returning citizens, reentry service providers, and additional supportive service providers. Reentry service providers can establish a clear and concise reentry plan with their client and load it into the My Way Out app. By using the app, clients can track their own progress and accomplish their personal and professional goals. Reentry and other supportive service providers can also validate and reward their clients' progress via our interactive dashboard. My Way Out is gamified and incentivized to promote higher levels of engagement for participants as they seek to earn badges, prizes, and other financial rewards while completing their goals. So I'm going to just give you a quick couple of videos here, one on the dashboard and one on the client journey through the app, and kind of give you a little background on that. So the purpose of the dashboard is to align the main reentry service provider, any support providers in transportation, housing, or any other field would join this client's journey. All clients would show up on the dashboard, as well as a progress taskbar showing each individual's progress in their support track, personal development track, and professional track. And then templates can be built ahead of time by the reentry provider. And then task management, the additional tasks can be categorized and cataloged over time. And prizes can also be added and other incentives to get folks to kind of accelerate their process or stay engaged. Next is the client journey, or a brief client journey, where we can explore the general plan and overview for the app user as it relates to their 3 tracks. Again, support, personal, and professional. There are quick ways to get snapshots. You can dive deep into each of these. This is an example of a scholarship prize in the wallet of the individual. There are also ways to earn badges for interactive competitions within the organization or at the Way Out. We're going to do some universal ones for all our clients. And you're able to drop in things such as Google Map directions, hyperlinks to organizations, pamphlets, handbooks, tutorials like this one. There is an immediate access to the caseworker via call, text, or email. And probably the most important part here that I've been zooming through here is going to be this task timeline, where the primary service provider is able to see, when was the task assigned, when did it get started, when was it completed. And we realize that the support service providers are also busy, and sometimes they won't have time to jump on the dashboard and check off that the client has been there. So we've empowered the user to go ahead and mark it off, and then at a convenient time, their primary caseworker, case manager, can check in with the other ancillary providers and verify that they have been there. So again, the goal of this is to allow folks to really be dialed into their reentry plan, to have the resources available to them through their main provider, again, to empower them. This is a very real-time video as I was taping it. Obviously got a call. But this is, again, it's meant for all stakeholders to be involved in the journey, to really support the returning citizen on their journey. The employment track obviously is designed to support them professionally, to make sure they're achieving everything from their onboarding to their 30-day, 60-day, 90-day goals. Our goal is any employee, justice involved employee lasting a year on the job is our ultimate goal. And again, here are the general overviews that the client is able to get on the app as well. And so in closing, You may or may not be aware through some of the social media posting we did today that American Family Insurance Institute for Corporate and Social Impact has committed to sponsoring 15 reentry service providers across our state as part of our pilot program. So we're currently seeking six reentry service providers in the southeastern region of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, 3 in the southwestern region, 1 in south central Wisconsin, 3 up in the northeastern region, the Oshkosh, Green Bay, Appleton area, and 1 in the north central region, as well as in the northwest. So if you're interested, or you know a provider that would be interested in partnering up with us, please have them reach out to me at erivera@twou.org. Or if you're interested in a sponsorship opportunity or collaborating with The Way Out in any other way, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Ellie. And Ellie, will you put your email address in the chat, and also Ruben?
Absolutely.
Great. And there was, Bob Thibault had a question. If somebody doesn't have a smartphone, can they still access your application?
The app right now is for iPhone or any other device for that matter, but we do not have. I guess the question would be, what other way? Via dashboard? No, not on the computer yet. But if we get enough feedback through this pilot program, we'll definitely make sure that we meet those needs. We're also working to find partners to provide those phones for folks who don't have them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Next item up is the Reentry Housing Virtual Town Hall on Thursday, March 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We in the Reentry Housing Task Force will be presenting a town hall on reentry housing needs. We'll have landlords who have a track record of renting to those who are in reentry. We'll have directly impacted individuals who've gone down that journey themselves and the struggles that they have. We'll have reentry agency providers. We have the Department of Corrections. We appreciate to have you at the table. And the goal of that reentry housing town hall is to grow the number of private sector landlords that will rent to people in reentry, and to dispel some of the fears that exist around being in community with those who've been previously incarcerated. If you're interested in we'll send out to the whole group the link for how to be part of that. If you're interested in learning more, if you connect with me, I can connect you with our Reentry Housing Task Force. Do we have somebody from Cream City Conservation with us? We don't. Okay, so August Ball is the Chief Executive Officer of Cream City Conservation, and they are looking to recruit 15 to 20 people with a focus on those in reentry to go through a 6-month paid training program that will, you get trained on green infrastructure, including industry recognized certifications, with the goal of landing those individuals with good long-term employment with Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District, MMSD, Veolia, which is a garbage and also a company that also does recycling, and also Milwaukee Waterworks. So good long-term jobs. And if you're interested in that, August Ball from Cream City Conservation is spearheading that. And there's a desire to employ people who are coming home from incarceration. So I'll send out that flyer with the notes from this meeting, and please reach out to her. Finally, okay, it's 3:29, that's good. If people would put a one-word, how you're feeling, a one-word evaluation in the chat, I'd appreciate it. And
Conrad,
yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to something that was in the chat a while ago, and just offer to people that if we could just refer to these individuals as citizens, returning citizens, because again, commission of a criminal offense doesn't strip them of their citizenship, all things considered, all right? But as I remind individuals when I'm talking to them that have returned to the community, you're not a felon. You may have committed a felony, but that's not who you are. Words have meaning. And so I don't think we need to find a new term for them, because it's a reductionist fashion to try and find a way to identify someone simply because of an action that may have befallen them. They are citizens. If you're talking to them in person, you call them by name. But if you're talking about a group of individuals, just refer to them as citizens.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Judge.
And anybody want to share anything else? Yes.
I'm sorry, this is Ella Dunbar at SCC. I will email you a flyer for free tax preparation. And it's a service that we have every year at SCC for almost 20 years. And this year, if you earn $60,000 and less, your taxes can be done free. And we are doing mostly drop off because of the pandemic. You can drop off your documents and all the instructions are in the flyer. I'll send you the flyer.
Thank you,
email
Ellen.
you, Connor.
I'll share that with the group. That's an excellent service. Thank you. Anybody else with a pressing item to share for the good of the group?
Yes, I would like to connect with Kim definitely over at Aurora, because I would like to see more emphasis on maybe using fidelity bonds in your call center, because I did look at the list of jobs, but there has to be ways so you even segues into your facility through, being providers, call center. There are databases out here that even young women in particular who may want to go into healthcare or may go into the data entry call center background, they may have something on their background that you all may deem, a problem. But I think we can do better and we can do more. I do appreciate what you're doing, but I think we can do more and getting to further fields in the healthcare, going back into call centers and those areas as well too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, can I just maybe clarify? I just listed a few jobs that we've recently hired some returning citizens into, but actually we are open and would be very excited to justice-involved individuals applying to any job that they're interested in at Aurora Healthcare. So sorry if that was confusing.
Thank you, Kim. And Peggy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just really wanted really quickly just to tell people that the expungement bill is back, and that it can use your support. And so if you can, I can get the information to Connor, and then he can, it's actually not my information, it's from Eldira, but she's not here today. So I will forward it to Connor, and then if he could get it out, it's really important that we get it out, especially outside of Milwaukee County. And then second, someone had raised a concern regarding the term returning citizen, because they were worried that it didn't encompass undocumented people. And unfortunately, in the state of Wisconsin, if you're returning from prison, if you were undocumented, you would be deported. And so that the term still works.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your commitment to creating a better future. So thank you all. Have a good evening.
Are you as well, Connor? Peggy, call me. I want to talk to you about